Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses and a twin-size bed.
I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name.
I feel like our version of that has to be like, instead of like the pen click, it should be like two pieces of silverware going.
Right, yeah. Clink,
oh my gosh.
clink.
I'm realizing we might have like new listeners for this episode because we have so many new friends online.
I know. I hope so.
We kind of blew up. Yeah. Yeah, love it.
Although like views and comments on like Instagram or TikTok don't necessarily translate to
That's
listeners,
true.
but probably at least a couple people. So hello.
If you're new, hello.
Yeah.
We're two foodies and we have a podcast on Taylor Swift and we talk about what's on our plates metaphorically. And then we try to relate everything to food at the end of each episode. So we've shared like recipes of the summer. If this song were to be a recipe, what would it be, etc. Anyway, so welcome.
Yeah. But it is 80 to 85% pure, just Taylor Swift chit chat.
For sure. For sure. So let's get into it. What's on your plates? What were you up to these past few weeks, Sara?
Well, I realized that we haven't recorded since before I went on my honeymoon.
Yeah.
So
listen.
I went on a honeymoon to Key Largo down in the Florida Keys. So that was really nice. Very relaxing. It was like a nice little refresh because then I feel like we came home and life just like, picked right back up. Very busy. But we did road trip down there and it was an 18-hour drive.
Y'all are crazy for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh is, he loves to drive and he drove all but 1 hour and 15 minutes of the like round trip. He drove the whole way there.
Kudos.
Okay, but this is what is so insane, okay? On the way down, the only like music we listened to
was Taylor.
But the only Taylor we listened to was when we crossed the border into North Carolina. I played Carolina.
Okay.
And when we crossed into Florida, I played Florida.
Okay.
That is it.
So you just talked?
It. No.
You napped?
Listen, I napped. I napped, and also I was watching Virgin River on Netflix on my phone.
Do you know that's my doppelganger? I've been told. I've been told so many times that I look like her. When I got my marriage license, actually.
Really?
Yeah. The woman was like, "You look so much like the girl from Virgin River," and I was like, "Who's that?"
Oh my gosh, I never would have like picked that out myself, but I can see it now that you said it.
So that actress was on American Horror Story, like the first season, and she had red hair, and I knew her from that. And then when I saw her on Virgin River with blonde hair, I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's like strawberry blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, so I had started watching Virgin River like a year or two ago, and I thought I got partway through the first season, and then I think I just like switched to a different show and it fell off, whatever. But then when I got COVID like a month ago, I needed a show. I had finished one, so I was like, oh, let me go back into Virgin River. Turns out I was halfway through episode 2. That's how far I had gotten. So I started binging it during COVID. And then, Josh was not really watching it with me, but he would walk by and be like, what's going on? Or like sit on the couch. But then he did that thing where like, he's not watching it, but he's like in the other room. And then he comes in, he's like, what's going on? And I tell him like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, why don't Jack and Preacher just take care of it? And I'm like, okay. So you are watching. You're aware. So it was fun for both of us, for me to watch and he could listen. Yeah. And then, whenever an episode ends, he's like, we'll start the next one. What's happening? So that was what we did. And yeah, we honestly did not listen to music, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
I listened to music. I listened to Tortured Poets while I drove, and he took a nap for an hour and 15 minutes. So I didn't even really get through the original, like non-anthology section. But this is like, he is so insane because when we left at 6 a.m. to drive down there, I went straight to sleep. I was true passenger princess. I had a pillow.
That's a good husband.
I had my snacks. Like that was part of my honeymoon, was just like chilling in the car, watching my show.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And so for like the first 3 hours of the drive from like 6 to 9 a.m., I was in and out of sleep. He was in silence. Like,
how?
He raw dogged it.
Dude. Like, yeah, that's raw dogging it.
I could never.
No, could never. I need a podcast. I need something playing at all times, except when I leave school. Sometimes I do drive in silence on the way home from school.
That makes
because
sense.
I've been overstimulated all day. But that's the exception. Other than that, I need it.
Yeah. I either need music on that I'm singing to, or a podcast on and a snack.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
So, yeah. So kudos to him. But
big kudos.
But also, the other highlight of our road trip was we went to Buc-ee's.
Okay. I'm waiting. I've seen pictures. I've seen TikToks, but what's the deal with Buc-ee's?
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Buc-ee's is this like insanely epic, out of control rest stop that started in Texas, I believe. So it's mostly in the South.
Yeah.
And they're huge. They're only for car travelers. Like trucks are not allowed to go there. It's almost like a Wawa or a Sheetz on steroids, like mixed with like a Target / Walmart. But then
it looks like a superstore. Like
it is a superstore of rest stops. There's like 100 gas pumps. The bathrooms are known for being extremely clean. But they have a whole like brisket barbecue station in the middle. They do tacos and burritos. There's a full-blown bakery. They do fudge. And then they're also cranking out those cinnamon, like caramelized nuts. So the whole place smells like that. And then they have, clothing, toys, children's clothes, home goods, cookbooks, like anything you might want
at a rest stop.
At a rest stop.
Wow.
So Josh was
the
obsessed.
American dream. Yeah, like
it really is. It was like American utopia for sure.
Gas guzzling cars and superstores. Yes.
So we hit that up twice on our way home. And Josh was obsessed with the brisket sandwich. But my favorite thing was we got what's called the Buc-ee's Beaver Nuggets. Or what I like to call buck nuts. And they are these like puffed corn pop things. The traditional flavor is salty sweet. It's got like a brown sugar thing going on.
Okay.
And we realized it kind of tastes like Cap'n Crunch cereal.
Okay.
But like a slightly different texture, like kind of like Cap'n Crunch or like Honey Crisp or Honeycomb. And then like also the like French toast waffle crisp cereals, like in that genre.
Okay.
But they're amazing. Like I have a fresh bag. Yeah, I would call them buck nuts. They had a couple other flavors that were called Buc-ee's Nuggies. But the original is called Beaver Nuggets.
Wow.
Yeah. I need to find like generic dupe for these because it's like my new favorite snack. And I mean,
that's a total win. Finding a good road trip snack, like that's everything.
Yeah. I also got their Buc-ee's branded milk chocolate covered raisins, and they were better than like your standard raisinette.
There is such a joy of a great road trip snack. You know, like when you're just like noshing and like the hours are passing by and you're just like a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yep.
A little bit of
like
this.
what am I in the mood for? Salty,
a
sweet.
new little treat. Amazing.
Oh my gosh. So we had a blast.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So honeymoon in the South, and then the drive back, you were eating your Buc-ee's on the way back, and sounds heavenly.
It was pretty great. Yeah. I did have like one detour in North Carolina to get something fixed on my car. And shout out to this random Walmart that fixed my car on a Sunday afternoon.
Love Walmart.
Didn't charge me anything because they did something that they don't offer as a service.
This guy really helped you out.
He really did. And then I was like, what do I owe you? He was like, nothing. And he goes, we didn't do it. For like liability reasons. He's like, we didn't do it.
I didn't touch it. Didn't do it.
So shout out to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's on your plate?
Well, before I talk about me, one thing we're going to like touch on, but like we can talk more about maybe in another episode because this is going to be a long one, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
One thing we've connected on before I talk about myself is our annual pizza crawl called the Feast of St. Pizza. So this past weekend, Sara and I and our motley crew of carb-loving friends gathered in Bethlehem. And normally we pick a little town or a city, preferably a walkable spot. And we go to 10 pizza places in one day in the search and celebration of pizza. And it was a good one. It was a beautiful day. It was a little bit hot. For fall,
it was a little hot.
I think for fall, we thought it was going to be like, ooh, chilly weather. And it'll be like, no, this was like more of a summer day than anything.
It's like 85.
Yeah, we were sweating. But it was great. And Bethlehem's adorable. And maybe we'll do like a roundup summary on another episode. But that's something we've done for the past, we've done 8 feasts. So
yeah. First year was 2015. So we're coming up on like our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah. So like it's been crazy. And I feel like we're truly professionals at this point. So
yeah.
If this is interesting to you, like we all have blog posts, both Sara and I, about it, as well as like podcast episodes. I'll link all of them in the show notes if you're curious, but I'm sure we'll talk more about it in another episode. Yeah,
we do have full podcast episodes about a couple of them. In our previous podcast, Passports and Pizza.
Yeah, we'll link those for you guys if you want to check them out. So what's up with me? What's on my plate? I'm in my football era. I went to state college with Luke's extended family, who most of them actually went to Penn State. Like Luke is one of the only weirdos who didn't, and his siblings are the only family members who like didn't go to Penn State, but they're a Penn State family. And it was so much fun. We tailgated. I feel like the energy I had there was, I don't know. I'm not really into watching football on the television because like, it gets a little boring. Okay. I need the lines. What I've learned is I need to see those lines on the screen. That helps me out a lot. But watching the football game in person, so fun. Like, who knew? It was so much fun.
Oh. I think I might be the opposite because I like to have the slow motion replays and stuff because it's so easy to lose where the ball is that I need them to play it over again.
But I have to say, watching a college football game is more my speed than like NFL because like I feel like it's a little bit slower paced in that like I can watch the ball easier. Like sometimes these NFL guys just like throw it and I'm like, how in the world am I supposed to watch where this is going? Everyone's so good.
Right.
Like in the college, they're still really good, but like it's just a little slower and they make more mistakes so I can watch it better.
Yeah.
But I loved it and it was so much fun. Also, I love a college campus in the fall. It was a very fall day. So that was really, really fun. And yeah, I'm in my football era. Like I love to watch football. Who knew? Only took like 33 years for me to figure out that football's fun, but here we are. Other than that, I'm researching for Luke and I's first wedding anniversary trip. We already got our train tickets. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's like a month.
So where are you going?
We're going to New York. So maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, we just so happened to have like concert tickets in Brooklyn. And then the year before we went in the fall, and it just became like this thing where it's like, kind of want to go to New York every single time it gets a little cold outside, because
Mm-hmm.
New York in the fall is such a vibe.
Yeah.
So we're going to go peak fall, sort of in the middle of October. And I've been
Mm.
researching all these different restaurants. And I said this to you over text, but we need to do a girls trip weekend in New York and just hit all the Taylor hotspots,
Yeah, we do.
because she does have really immaculate taste when it comes to restaurants, I have to say.
Mhm.
She was spotted out with Travis at Luke, which is like the best pizza in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, that was like a huge moment because I don't know if I've
Yeah.
really seen her out getting pizza before.
True. That's a big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got immaculate taste. And could we afford all of these restaurants, Sarah? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it is
Definitely
fun.
not.
Like we could go to Cornelia Street. We can go to all the, spots that, are rumored to be the bars that she would go to.
Yeah.
But
By
it would be so
Electric
much
Lady
fun.
Studios.
Yes.
That would be
Also,
fun.
there is a Taylor Swift speakeasy called
Mhm.
Champagne Problems. Would love to go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sort of researching that and getting excited for that because I love New York in the fall. And then finally, I do want to shout out Luke. When we were driving, ironically, we both hate driving. So kudos to Josh again.
Yeah.
We were driving somewhere and we needed to pass the time. And Luke was like, all right, I'm going to put some Taylor on. And I was like, okay. And he put on a Swemo playlist.
Mhm.
And
Like from Spotify? Like someone else
yes,
made it?
yes. And I'll link it.
Okay.
It is so good. It opens up with this cover of Cruel Summer by Versus Me. And shout out to Versus Me because that song hits as an emo cover. Oh my God, that song is made to be an emo cover. And as a former emo girl, I mean, I'm not former, like it's a lifestyle. I'm still an emo girl at heart.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I also really love this cover of Ready for It by Living in Fiction. Like, I feel like Reputation already leans like it could be more of like a rock influence, but like if you take all the synths and
Mhm.
stuff out, like and replace them with like heavy guitars,
Mhm.
chef's kiss.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, I have to shout out Luke for playing this Swemo playlist because occasionally I'll be like, ooh, maybe I'll put that one on instead. So yeah, I'm loving that Swemo playlist for
I'll have to
sure.
check that out.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
fun.
boy, Taylor updates.
Well, we're getting a lot of Taylor updates right now
I
because
know.
she's been out with Travis a ton. Football season has begun, speaking of
Yes.
football, for Travi. And this like I was not even aware of it. It just worked out that when we were on our honeymoon, we were getting dinner at the one like bar restaurant on our resort, and they had football playing on the TV. And so Josh pointed out that it was the Chiefs playing, and he was like, I wonder if Taylor's going to be there. And then I think you texted me like her outfit.
Yes.
And so we were like hanging out at the bar, like just eating and watching all the pregame stuff. And then we actually just like hung out in our hotel room at the resort watching the game that night and just relaxing. And I was like, who would have thought that I would be watching an NFL football game
right
on my honeymoon? Like if you had told me that a year ago, I would be like, absolutely not.
Right.
I think I did fall asleep before the end of the game, but I was watching and it was fun to, see Travis on the field and, see Taylor when they showed her. So it was fun.
Other things we've seen her, she was at the VMAs. Big night for the VMAs. She had many wardrobe changes. And by the way, I'm so obsessed with her styling lately.
Mm-hmm.
It started with her showing up to that Chiefs game that you mentioned, the first game of the season for them.
So hot.
I love that, like, last year when she started to come, she's sort of like, oh, don't mind me, just gonna blend in with the crowd and whatever. And now she's like, no, honey, I'm stunting.
Yeah.
It's over for all of you hoes. Like, it's so over. I'm coming in hot.
Yeah. She came in hot.
Sure did. And like, I love this. I mean, people are obsessed with like her new makeup look and like the way she was styled at the VMAs was so interesting. Like, I'm loving it. And Rebecca, who has been on this podcast before, was at Feast of St. Pizza and we got to chatting about it. And she's also, she's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to style and fashion because she works in fashion. So I really want to have Rebecca on to talk about Taylor Swift's stylist, you know, Pat McGrath of it all, her perfumes. Like there's just like so much to talk about, but she's crushing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm loving all the new looks.
What is your final hypothesis about her like red carpet look at the VMAs? That the black with the like yellow plaid and the crazy gloves going up her arms. Is that TTPD? Is that something else? Is it Reputation? Is it New Era? Is it Taylor just doing whatever she wants?
I don't know. Like, part of me feels like it feels different. Like, my initial thought is this feels different. She almost looks like an action figure, like a superhero action figure. Even the way she sort of poses. And I was like, is this, because there's rumors of her playing the Dazzler or something on the Marvel series, or whatever,
Deadpool.
and Deadpool. And I'm like, is this a signal to that? I don't know. She's been pulling a lot of these like sort of tougher looks on the red carpet, so the yellow of it all threw me off. So I'm not sure. I'm still confused.
I am leaning towards New Era /
I would love
Karma.
that. Yeah.
Like it's giving Bleachella a little bit.
It's giving hardcore rock for sure.
Which has me very excited.
Yeah, I would die. But Rebecca was saying it's Reputation coded. So I don't know. Like I could see both sides.
Yeah. I just think either way, I don't think it's Taylor just wearing whatever she wants. I think this is definitely calculated in the Taylor way, not calculated with a negative undertone there. You know, she's strategizing, but
she's masterminding. Let the mastermind.
And the thing about that red carpet outfit is that was not just like a dress. Like that was a costume.
Oh yeah.
You know
I mean, she changed halfway through. Like she chose that for a reason and then changed into her shorter mini skirt dress later.
Which was a very different vibe.
Yeah.
And like if you think about, I don't remember where it was, that she wore that beautiful green dress recently.
Yeah.
And like she looks stunning. But like that seems more like a normal Taylor red carpet look. So her wearing this whole getup feels like a costume. Like this is not just like, oh, I like this dress, I'm going to wear it on the red carpet.
Right. It's not. I mean, Taylor Swift's like street style is very approachable, actually, for the most part. So it's not like I mean, it's the VMAs. She's not going to go there to blend in. We all know Taylor VMAs besties. Right. But yeah, it felt costumey, which is probably why I thought like this reminds me of a superhero, because it looked like it was something like that, like an intentional decision. And the fact that her dress that she changed it to is so different. I don't know. It was definitely sus, and we're not going to understand it until months from now. So
we won't.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll let it be at that.
And then, of course, the other major thing is that Taylor endorsed Kamala after the debate.
At last.
We're very excited about. But honestly, I did not expect her to, because of the conversation we just had about like, you know, her being on tour, getting political is tricky with, you know, safety.
Some of the things that she mentioned in her very eloquent post that makes me think that maybe she had to wait till the Eras Tour was done to make the European leg was done before making a comment. She mentions the AI images that Trump had used, and how that really made her upset. And I think that was probably a starting point for her to say, nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of the jumping off point. Doing it after the presidential debate was, I think, pretty smart and pretty savvy. And for anyone who's confused and for anyone who's saying, "Oh, just stay in your lane," you should just, watch Miss Americana and then talk to us. That's what I have to say. Like, for real. This is not shocking, but we were surprised because of her statement about the safety of her fans. But yeah.
Also, to the whole stay in her lane thing, she's an American and she's a voter. She gets to talk about her views as part of being an American.
Stay in your lane.
She is not telling anyone who to vote for. She told us who she's going to vote for, and she's encouraging people to research and make the best choice for themselves. I mean, obviously, she probably has views on which way they should go. But yeah, she's not, her post was not like, if you vote for Trump, then, you're a terrible person. And, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
It was very measured, very diplomatic. And apparently in 2020, she also endorsed Biden right after the one debate. So I guess the timing is similar.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that she signed it Childless Cat Lady because
how can we forget?
Yeah. Like hello.
Perfect.
The ultimate childless cat lady. Like the perfect period on that comment. So
good.
Love it. Our queen is queening and we cannot help but stand. So that's that. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to talk about the smallest man who ever lived today. Are you even ready for this?
No.
It's going to get really cutthroat. Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
No.
So logistics of the song. It's on Tortured Poets Department. It's track 14, making it part of the original album. And it was co-written and produced with Aaron Dessner. So yeah, let's get into our personal associations. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. So this is one of the ones that I did not love immediately. Like my first thought was kind of like, when I say this is like, in the first week of its release, I was like, this one's kind of a skip for me. Right. And again, TTPD is so different because there were so many songs. And like I've said it before, it's just easier to have like your bigger favorites rise to the top and everything else falls into a different category. And when you have 31 songs, it's easier to have like a lot in the second category. So anyway, for me, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. But then she performed it on the Eras tour. And it changed for me. Like it brought that song to life. And like, I don't know. I think like it just, the emotion and everything behind the song really comes out in that performance of it on the Eras tour. So now I do love it. I will say it's still not exactly like the one I put on. Like if I'm like, ooh, I'm in the mood for this one, I'm going to put it on. I don't really do that, but I do appreciate the song. My main issue with it is I think that the beginning, like the verses and everything leading up to the bridge, which is really like a bridge that throws us off a cliff because then the song ends. It's a bridge to nowhere.
A bridge to the absolute death of Maddie Healy. Yes,
exactly. Everything leading up to the bridge is too slow for too long. Like it is such a steady state until we hit that, which does make that bridge hit harder. But like, that's why I preferred on the Eras tour because she cuts out that second verse. And so we get, it's more of like an intro and then like that bridge is the meat of this song. But I also
Yeah.
understand the need for those verses for her to like tell the story the way she wants to tell it and get all of her words out.
100%.
And I do wish the bridge went even harder. Like I really wanted a full happier than ever moment where it's just smacks you in the face. She goes off and it's like she does turn the volume up in a lot of ways for the bridge, but I want more. So that's my criticism of the song, but I do love it. I think it's fantastic, of course. And it gets so stuck in my head. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a night like months ago. I remember Josh and I were at the hotel in Harrisburg and I was like on TikTok. So of course, I'm seeing videos with clips from the bridge and it got stuck in my head and we were like going to sleep and he's just like on his phone and I'm just laying there in bed and I just had to sing the entire bridge out loud and then I could go to sleep because it's like once it starts going in your head, you have to finish it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You gotta. Yep. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. It's one of those Taylor like melodies that's it just gets you. And you just have to see it through,
Yeah. I again, similarly, it wasn't one I remember listening to it and be like, oh damn, she's going in. But it wasn't necessarily one of my favorite initial songs. But I love that people are comparing this to like a grown-up adult version of All Too Well. Like it's stripped away the sweetness of All Too Well a little bit and just cuts right to the aggressive honesty and the bitterness and like the overall like honesty of being like disappointed by a man and being disappointed by the way men act. And, it has similar themes in a lot of ways. And I love that. And I think that this song on the Eras tour added, like you said, it just hits like the added visuals, the death march. We're going to talk about all this later, but like the drum line, the added percussion to it, the way it was orchestrated for the Eras tour hits even harder. And I think that this was a song that came straight from Taylor's like soul. And if it wasn't included in the album, she would have felt like a piece of it was missing. Yeah. So, and that's why we love it. It's because she did not hold back. Like she just let it rip.
She let it rip.
So she let it rip and like we love her for it. The folklore of this song, I mean, basically TLDR, rest in peace, Maddie Healy.
Right.
I mean, like one thing I've been thinking a lot about with Tortured Poets is like, yes, it is an album that reflects about a situationship and the ending of a very important relationship. But there's another theme that I keep like leaning onto, which is Taylor is assessing how fans react to her like own life experiences and like sort of this strange relationship we have with her and like with Clara Bow. And also in How Did It End? It's talking about how, people care, but what they really want to know is the tea of like what happened. In Daddy, I Love Him. That's like another theme. But this song is truly just about Maddie Healy being the worst. So, she spilled some pretty big tea in the lyrics here. When we analyze it, I was like, wow, she's angry. And she's letting us know exactly what happened. And before this song in the album, we had a lot of like her pining over someone else in, we were talking about Guilty as Sin. Down Bad and Loss of My Life, we have some of that sadness of like a relationship ending, but this is like anger that comes with it. Oh yeah. So you know, as a fire sign, like queen, I'm all about that energy. So that is what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I think we should dive in.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Verse 1, part 1.
Part 1. Yeah.
Was any of it true? Gazing at me starry-eyed in your Jehovah's Witness suit. Who the fuck was that guy?
All right.
Okay, so right off the bat, we have a Taylor sigh. It's like literally that. Whenever we get a Taylor sigh in a song, you know it's
We're
personal.
devastated. Yeah.
Yeah. She's fed up.
Yeah. Yep.
She's fed up. She's at her wit's end.
Yep.
So that sets the scene right away with this song.
Yeah. And also, I love that she immediately used the word starry-eyed because she has used starry-eyed a million times.
Yeah.
So in this album alone, she uses this from LOML.
I thought I was better safe than starry-eyed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In High Infidelity, she says this.
Ninth. Do I really have to chart the constellations in his eyes?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Cowboy Like Me, she says this.
You're a bandit like me, eyes full of stars.
Okay. And then in Call It What You Want, which we can't include because it's not Taylor's version, Starry Eyes Sparking Up My Darkest Night.
Yeah.
So, like, this is something that she's threading back to in other songs.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think these songs are about Maddie? I mean, LOML for sure.
LOML, yes.
Cowboy Like Me.
I mean, Cowboy Like Me could be about Maddie. That is one thing that we have thought about.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of all this, is like,
yep.
Oh, is that one about Maddie?
Well,
but I also think that like starry-eyed, you know, that thing. I think this is one of those things that Taylor wrote in her notebook of phrases that she likes.
Yeah.
And it has made it into a couple songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting detail.
Do you think also this means well, okay, gazing at me starry-eyed, I take that as a little bit of a hit about him being like stoned.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
But also,
or if you're starry-eyed for someone, it means that you're like so enamored, obsessed with them, which she refers to later in this song.
Yeah. So I think it has like a few meanings here. And then also, she is such a star. So him looking at her and she's a star in his eyes.
Right.
And putting her like on a pedestal too. So I think there's a lot of ways we can take that line in this song.
For sure.
And then in your Jehovah's Witness suit is the funniest and maybe the most savage lyric in this whole song.
If you would have like whispered in our ears, we're like, we'll give you a lyric from the next album in your Jehovah's Witness suit.
Also, we would be like, that, like when you and I listened to this for the first time and we heard that, we were like, what?
This was definitely a song where we paused and we're like, what is she? What? Like,
what? Yeah.
No, for real. Oh my God.
So Maddie is known for wearing these like simple black and white suits on stage. While touring with the 1975. And it like, especially like with him being this kind of like slender frame. Yeah. He kind of looks like a Jehovah's Witness guy standing on your doorstep.
Yeah, it's not like he's wearing the finest of suits. Like he's not like this prim and proper gentleman. Like it's sort of like a suit that's been beat up a little bit because you wear it a lot, you know?
Mhm.
I wonder what the Jehovah's Witnesses think about this lyric personally. If any Jehovah's Witness want to chime in about this, is it funny?
Right.
Like I would love to know because like so I had to do some research because I was like, what is she what is she implying here? So like male members of Jehovah's Witness, and by the way, if you are Jehovah's Witness, please chime in and correct me if I'm wrong. The men of Jehovah's Witness are required to wear a complete suit and tie. They're also asked to keep the color choices simple to avoid clothing that may draw attention to us being showy. Which is why that simple black and white, suit is sort of what that's the look that Maddie had on his tour. So, yeah. So Jehovah's Witnesses, speak up. I would love to know. Is this funny or is this not funny? I don't know. So anyway.
Yeah. And then she ends by saying, who the fuck was that guy? And this line to me just tells me that like he was fully putting on an act for her. And he turned out to not be the person that he said he was. And that's kind of like what this whole song is about, where she's like, I thought I signed up for something and I was so wrong. So it's like, you must have been playing me this whole time.
Right. Right.
You know?
You looked at me starry-eyed, like with stars in your eyes. You were so infatuated, in love with me in your little suit. Who was that guy? Because that's not who you are right now. Like, who are you?
Right.
Okay, so here's the second half of that verse.
You tried to buy some pills from a friend of friends of mine. They just ghosted you. Now you know what it feels like.
Yep. Yeah, and this is where, again, she's spilling some tea. She's spilling a lot of tea in this little thing.
She is. Yeah.
So
this
go ahead.
This made me think of Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. So it specifically this line.
You needed drugs more and I couldn't watch it happen.
Ouch. So I want to touch on this really delicately and with some care, but Maddie does have a history with drug abuse. In 2000, this is coming from a New Yorker article that I will link. In 2014, amid the early rush of fame and steady touring, Healy began smoking heroin, the only substance he found that could pull him down from the stratosphere. It was a secret for a while. Then the band staged an intervention. Healy resisted. He woke up the next day feeling like a fool and told Daniel he would go to rehab. He spent 7 weeks at his center in Barbados, then flew to London and immediately used again. He said, quote, and then I used a little bit longer. And then I said, like, fuck, Maddie, what are you doing? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if the guys find out? So he quit cold turkey in 2018. He's not involved in a formal sobriety program. In fact, he often seems drunk at the end of his live shows, although he describes this as an act only partly rooted in reality. Quote, a lot of people will know that given my history, I can hack a bottle of wine over 2 hours, he says. So with Taylor kind of implying that you tried to buy some pills from a friends of mine, but they just ghosted you. Yikes. Not good.
Yeah. Right.
And the fact that she implies this twice in this album, you needed me, but you needed drugs more. You tried to buy some pills from a friends of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, which also makes me wonder, was he doing drugs in whatever capacity he may have been, like, before he and Taylor got together this time? Or was it maybe like instigated by all of the drama surrounding them?
Who says? I mean, who knows?
I don't know.
I think the clincher of this is that there's other references of someone being high in Bejeweled, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that, but some guy said my aura's moonstone just because he was high. And she mentions when I'm with the band, they asked, do you have a man? The 1975 is a band. They were recording music together. Like, so there are some implications that Maddie does get high. Sounds like he's using pills and not heroin.
Yeah.
But
he could be like California sober or whatever, where you like don't really drink or do other stuff, but you do you smoke weed and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it seems like whoever Taylor's friends of hers ghosted him. And she says, now you know what it feels like, implying that Maddie has ghosted her.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like if everything she says in this album is true, which I'm sure it's not, but you know, the overall vibe that we're getting is that they were very serious for a short time. He was talking to her about getting married and having a family.
Yeah.
And then he ghosted her.
Ouch.
Like, you ghosted Taylor Swift in the year of 2023? The year of the Barbie movie and the Eras tour.
Yeah.
What?
The implications are bad. It's bad. Yeah. It's pretty bad. And by the way, this is all alleged. This is all just reading into lyrics and doing our research. So, like, please, it's all alleged. Disclaimer. But it is crazy to me that someone like Taylor Swift could be ghosted.
Yeah.
Like, she's Taylor Swift.
She's Taylor Swift.
You can't avoid her. Come on.
Right.
God.
Wow.
All right, chorus. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let me play.
And I don't even want you back. I just want to know if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. And I don't miss what we had, but could someone give a message to the smallest man who ever lived?
Not another sigh.
We get another sigh. Woo. Oh man. Yeah, and I don't even want you back. I just want to know if resting my sparkling summer was the goal. And this was the line that we talked about one time before, but where I was like, we know exactly what she's talking about.
Right.
Like resting my sparkling summer.
Yeah, we know.
Eras tour.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then we have a clip from I Can Do It With a Broken Heart where do you wanna just play it?
Yeah, here you go.
There in her glittering prime, the lights refract, sequin stars are for silhouette every night.
Yep. There it is. Yeah, like also, the use of resting makes me think of the song Maroon.
Yeah.
We're also wondering if that's about Maddie now in retrospect.
Yeah.
But yeah, this, like, to me, this is such a real thought because it's like, she's saying, I don't want you back. I just want to know. Was your plan to just ruin my summer? Like, did you do all of this just to fuck with me? Like, what gives, you know? Like, I don't care about you. I don't want to be with you anymore. Just tell me why you did this. Like, did you must have done this just to hurt me? Because that's the only thing that really makes sense, you know?
Right. Which is devastating. It's like, why would you do this to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is what the next part was referring to, this starry-eyed thing. So let me play this, then I'll tie it back to that.
You hung me on your wall, Stabbed me with your push pins. In public showed me off. Then sank in stoned oblivion.
Okay. So this idea of Maddie idolizing her, putting her on the wall, like putting her on this pedestal, right? Looking at her starry-eyed, then stabbed her with your push pins. I mean, you could read that one of two ways. You could read it as like, in idolizing her, he like pushed her and was like prodding her and like, you know, whatever. But to me, it's like a stab in the back. Like, you know, the fact that you did look up to, like, the fact that you did put me on a pedestal so high, I feel that this cuts even deeper because I'm like, who are you? Like, you were the person who was like so into this idea of us being together. And then of course, like in public showed me off. Hello, Pap walks in and out of Electric Lady Studios together.
Yeah.
You know, him coming to the concerts and singing Lover with his heart like this. Like,
right.
There's very clear public displays, especially because we were coming from the Joe eras where we got nothing. So, like, and then sank in stoned oblivion. What do you think that's about? Like, just disappeared?
Yeah, I take this to mean this whole little section here is like, he did idolize her. I mean, we have that, when she played Antihero on the 1975 tour.
Yeah.
That was the time when he was like kissing random audience members. And then even then he was like, I can't kiss anyone tonight because the queen is here. I think he called her the queen that night.
Yeah.
Referring to Taylor. So he like idolized her metaphorically or realistically. I don't know. Literally hung her poster on his wall. Was happy to show her off. But then when all of that turned out to be too much for him, he got stoned and fell off the map and like shriveled up and ghosted her.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, you are the best. You are the best. I love it. I'm so amazed by you. Whatever. Oh crap. This is too much for me.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's finish this verse.
'Cause once your queen had come,
Queen,
you treat her like an also-ran. You didn't measure up in any measure of a man.
both of us clocking queen. There you go.
Yeah. And also, you treat her like an also ran. When we listened to this for the first time, we both were like, what is that? We had to Google it.
Dictionary opens.
That was one of the words we did have to look up. So an also ran is a loser in a race or other contest, especially by a large margin, an undistinguished or unsuccessful person. So literally it's like, yeah, you didn't lose, you didn't play. I mean, you didn't win, you didn't place, you just also ran in the race.
Yeah. And this insinuates like, okay, once I was there, once I have been sold in, once I'm like, I'm in it, you treat me like I'm just another person, an unsuccessful and unimportant person. But like, what's that about?
Yeah. Just some rando that you can ghost.
Yeah.
When you're done with me.
Yeah.
So you didn't measure up in any measure of a man. A lot of people are taking this a couple different ways. I mean, the song is called The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
Yeah.
Which we also need to like unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think she's calling him a coward.
Yeah. You're small. You're a coward. You're not,
yeah.
you know.
You mean nothing.
Yeah. When you act like when you act small, it means that you exactly the coward is the perfect word for it. You're a coward.
Mhm.
You're the biggest coward I've ever met.
Yeah.
Period.
But we were wondering, how tall is Matty Healy? And I looked it up, and some people love to say that he's like 5'5". I even saw someone was like, I sit next to him, he's 5'2". He's not.
No, you guys. No. There are pictures of them and they're about the same size.
Yeah, so I did find an article that we can link to. He claims to be 5'10", like /5'11",
okay.
but Taylor's 5'11". So
right.
he's shorter than Taylor, and for sure shorter than her in heels. So this is why I think, like, if you see pictures of Taylor in heels standing next to him, in your mind, if you like translate Taylor to a more normal average size woman, he looks like he's 5'2".
Right. Right.
Oh, and
I
guess it's also like always been a thing because he's shorter than his other bandmates. And if you assume that they're more average height for men, he again looks short. But in fact, they're all like over 6 feet tall. So him being 5'10", he looks short, but really he's like an average height man.
And I mean, there's another implication to smallest man who ever lived, and you didn't measure up in any measure of a man. Taylor,
yeah,
what are you implying? I mean, ouch. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
That could be like a Sabrina Carpenter lyric.
Not insulting his manhood. Like, ouch.
Yeah.
And like measuring up in any measure of a man is like, of course you could imply what I'm just implying, but you could also say, like, you didn't exactly, the coward thing is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't measure up to what a man should be. You claim to be this guy that could be by my side, who wanted to like be a part of my life and be a part of my world, but you can't measure up. Like, you can barely be a part of my story because it's too much for you and you ghosted. Yeah. So you're not measuring up to any measure of a man that I would want to be with. So
I really want to know, did she write this before she and Travis got together?
Ooh, that's a good question.
When did the Gracie Abrams house fire happen?
Oh, that's really good question.
I'm trying to Google.
Look up Gracie Abrams Taylor Swift dinner. Okay. November 14th, 2023. Taylor Swift has an evening out with Gracie Abrams, and that's the night when they had the fire happen.
November.
So,
then she was with
that
Travis.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
She had with Travis. That was where they were exchanging. Yeah.
Yeah, but she could have written it. She still could have written it before she and Travis got together. But I just think that like when we now look at how she is with Travis, first of all, Travis is a giant. So he certainly measures up in that way, but also the cowardice that we're hearing about in the way Taylor is telling this to us is so the opposite of Travis. Like the way he handles her fame and everything, although to his credit, Travis did not get the kind of heat around him that Matty Healy got. Matty Healy's a very different character.
To be fair, Travis hasn't. Right. Travis hasn't done anything to warrant heat. So
exactly. So that's also on Travis, just being a good guy, generally speaking. Yeah. So, very different situation, but still, Travis can certainly handle everything. And he presents this, this version of masculinity that is just a really interesting contrast because he has so many stereotypical masculine qualities, and the way he's protective of her. He plays football. He's a big guy. He's in a lot of ways what appears to be a dumb jock, but we know that Travis has a ton of strengths. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Travis dumb. He may not spell or read very well, but I don't think he's dumb. But we also know that Travis is like very open and free with his emotions, and he's not afraid to cry, and he's not afraid to build up his lady and all these other things that you would not in the toxic masculinity world are not considered masculine. So
correct.
I just think that this little section here compared to the Travis of it all, it's just an interesting comparison.
Sure is. Sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second chorus. Here we go.
And I don't even want you back. I just want to know if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. And I don't miss what we had, but could someone give a message to the smallest man who ever lived?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, but that chorus is the same, right?
Okay,
Nothing
so
changed.
This is an exact copy paste lyric wise.
And then you were about to talk about how the like orchestration is different, I think.
Yeah. So in this second chorus, there's a little bit more of a piano part underneath it. There's some strings, like beautiful orchestration by Aaron Dessner, as always. But it is funny that it goes from like these beautiful like orchestral strings underneath this chorus, and then it gets to this grimy bridge. Okay. Like we're on the precipice of a bridge that is like too much to handle. Like, as you said, like a death bridge, because it just like goes to nothing. So like, it is funny that we go from this like romantic sort of sound to this. So let me play the first part of the bridge so you can hear that.
Sent by someone who wanted me dead. Did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? Were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? In 50 years will all this be declassified?
Pause. So good. Okay. Were you sent by someone who wanted me dead?
The paranoia is crazy. The paranoia is crazy. I mean, before we talk about the whole bed, sleeping, gun, whatever, were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? Were you sent by someone who wanted me dead? Is this going to be declassified? It's giving paranoia. It's giving like, oh my God, like someone is like on the wrong side. Someone wants me to be ruined. And was that you? Are you trying to ruin me? Like, is this it?
Right.
Like,
are you
crazy.
working for someone else? You know?
Right. Like, is this just a takedown of me? It's crazy. So did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? Tripped me up for the longest time because our bed to me is very like invested, like our bed versus my bed.
Right.
And like Maddie and her were only together for a short amount of time. I would think that like if you're in a relationship, like over a couple months, that becomes our bed. But I mean, they did go into the deep end really fast. He was talking marriage and babies with her. So like, I guess she would think it's our bed. We're starting a life together, whatever.
Yeah.
But it insinuates that she was really invested in this relationship. And yeah, like it's pretty bad. Like, did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? AKA, were you going to take me down when I was most vulnerable? Was this planned? When I put my guard down, that's when you were going to ruin me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So she wants to know, were you a sleeper cell spy? So sleeper cell spy, also known as a sleeper agent, is a spy or operative who is recruited and trained by an organization to live undercover in a target country or organization.
Right.
So yeah,
Once again,
it's like, were you working for someone else? Like, was this all orchestrated to fuck with me?
Right. To take me down.
Mm-hmm.
Like paranoia. Also, in 50 years, will this all be declassified? First of all, okay, is this her saying that, like, you know, we signed an NDA? Like, is it that? Because tangent. I'm sure that every person that was in a relationship with Taylor has signed an NDA.
Probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't imagine Tree Payne just letting people walk away like that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, I do think it's interesting that this was a theory I saw on TikTok. The 1975, in 50 years after that, would be 2025. So is this her insinuating that on their next album or whenever they release new music, perhaps in 2025, all of her secrets are going to be revealed to the public? Like, is there going to be like, you know, is all of our inner secrets going to be out there in other songs? I kind of like that idea, but I also know that the 1975 is like on a break. So I don't really see that happening, but it is an interesting idea because she wrote music. He can write it right back. Right. So,
right.
Who knows?
It's true.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to hear.
Gotta love those TikTok sleuths out there. So we'll see. Yeah.
Should we continue?
Yeah, bridge 2. Here we go.
And you'll confess why you did it. And I'll say good riddance. 'Cause it wasn't sexy once, it wasn't forbidden. I would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside. And you deserve prison, but you won't get time.
Oh. See, now
it feels wrong.
When I listen to it like this, I'm like, okay, maybe she did go pretty hard. But
I think she did.
A little bit harder. Also, when she sings, and I'll say good riddance at the live like, that might be the best part of the live performance of this, in my opinion.
It's so good.
The other thing I love about the live version on tour is her going up the octave for some of these lines, because I really think it adds something.
Yeah. Well, it's such a low range. Like, and for you to be aggressive and singing in your lower range is it's kind of like, it doesn't quite make sense, because normally when we get elevated and we get angered, like our voice raises up higher.
Yeah.
But she's singing really down in her range for that. So I totally love when she goes up the octave. It's perfect.
So good.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden. So this is definitely kind of a callback to this open letter that her fans wrote, to ask for her to distance herself from Maddie. It was called #SpeakUpNow. And personally, my opinions of that is, you guys, stop. Like, stop. Yeah. This is what she's writing music about. Like, you do not, you're having a parasocial relationship with someone. Stop. But I'm sure that, knowing that there was a large amount of her fans who did not approve of this relationship, made it feel forbidden, which kind of was like sexy and fun. And once it wasn't forbidden, meaning like she doesn't care, like they're saying, we don't care, we're going to do it anyway. Well, then the sex appeal of sneaking around is gone. And now that she's stepped away from it, the mystique is worn off and she can see it for what it was. So that's tough. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, now that it's over and she's looking back on it, it's like, oh yeah, part of the fun of that was that I shouldn't have been with you.
Yeah. No.
And I
Yeah.
was
I
kind of
shouldn't.
like lost in that in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then
And
I would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside. Oh, God.
mhm.
Another
Yeah.
religious lyric.
Yeah, lots of religious motifs in this album, as we've discussed. Because
Yeah.
we have a clip from Guilty as Sin that
Yeah. Here.
What if I roll the stone away? They're gonna crucify me anyway.
I would have died for your sins.
Yep.
And this is saying like how she would have stayed with him. Like all the fans and people were saying this is a bad idea. Honestly, Tree Payne and her parents were probably like, Taylor, what are you really doing? And he was getting caught up in all of that. But she was saying like, I would have stayed with you and dealt with all of that. Like I didn't care. But instead he just left her because he couldn't handle it and she was brokenhearted. So I would have died for her sins. Instead, I just died inside.
And then this line, and you deserve prison, but you won't get time. What did he do? Is this a metaphorical, like, dude, prison, you're done, prison, go to prison? Or is it, you deserve prison? You have done something bad that I know about, but you're not going to get time for it. I don't know. It's bad.
Yeah, I just take this to mean that she's like, if it were up to me, you would be in prison for what you did. And I
lock him up.
Like in a lot of cases, I mean, like #MeToo, there are a lot of things that specifically men can do to women. I mean, people can do it to anyone, but like a lot of the like abuse and assault that women experience is not like there aren't really like laws against it. So you can have something happen to you that is terrible. But even if you wanted to like press charges or something, like there's nothing you could do. Like she can't do anything about the fact that this man like fed her all these lies and then ghosted her. Like in her mind, he should be in prison, but he won't get any time for that because there's actually nothing.
There's no repercussions. Right.
Yeah.
There's no
justice.
Right. There's no justice. You deserve prison, but you're not going to get time. You're never going to justify this. I'm never going to see justice in this. That's just is what it is. Yeah. I like that read on that. But yeah, I love this next section of the bridge though.
Okay.
Slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. You crashed my party and your rental car. You said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing.
I love that part on the live version as well.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to start?
You'll slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. AKA, you're sliding into all these girls' DMs. You're going to slip through the bars. AKA, you're just going to keep getting away with what you keep doing because you're slick and no one can actually pin you for doing anything bad. You're sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. You crashed my party and your rental car. This is where we got to think about this for a second. In Taylor lore, who crashed whose party in a previous album? That's right, James. James crashed Betty's party.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin with that one? Okay. Like there has been implications that Betty, Augustine, and Joe, Betty, Augustine, and James. Love triangle. Taylor, Joe, Maddie, love triangle. Is this a callback to that? Questionable. But I do think it's an interesting choice of words if it is not meant to be a callback. It could be you crashed my party, aka you came in, ruined my world because everything was going right. And you ruined your rental car. You ruined your means of connecting with my fans. You crashed, you ruined it. You ruined yourself, like whatever.
Yeah.
But it could also be a tie back to James crashing Betty's party and saying, I'm just a stupid kid. I don't know anything. But I know I miss you. Like, whatever. Like,
I was trying to find if there was an actual story of Maddie Healy like crashing a car. I couldn't really find one. But now, like that I'm looking at this, you crashed my party. I'm taking party again to mean like the Eras tour, like this summer, her sparkling summer.
Right.
Maybe rental car is alluding to the fact that he was there for a short time. Like he was a temporary visitation.
Right. It's not his own car. It's a car that it's temporarily used. The means of transportation to get to her.
Yeah.
And
I do love the double meaning of slip through the bars because you'll slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. Yeah. So I think that the first meaning of that is, going to bars, picking up women, doing all that. But it comes right after, and you deserve prison, but you won't get time. Right. So slipping through the bars could mean slipping through prison bars. Like he's so weaselly and slippery that, he's not going to get stuck in there because he'll just get out.
Yeah.
And life will move on.
Love the double meaning. Yeah. Oh, and also you said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. Just devastate me. So like implying that I don't want a normal girl. I want you. Like, I'll take it all. Like, normal girls are not for me. Like, I can handle you. Like, whatever, I got this. And like, but you were gone by the morning. So like, you couldn't even stick. You couldn't even stick around.
That's gotta be like one of the most relatable lyrics she's ever written. Like, the fact that she was ghosted and this man was like, normal girls are boring. You're not a normal girl, but then still left her in the dust. Like, how many people have been told that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, truly a relatable. I don't want a normal girl. Like, blah, blah, blah. But like, you pieced out. Like, okay. So you just used me. Got it. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing. AKA, you ended this relationship. You kicked out the lights of it all, but you're still performing. AKA, you're still playing this cool rock star guy who still has his band and still has everything put together. And ultimately, this lyric is what solidified for me that this is about Maddie and not about Joe or anyone else. Like, because he's a performer. He literally does crazy stage antics all the time. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing. You're still putting on that show. You're still carrying on your rock star life. But also, metaphorically, you ended us, but you're still performing like everything's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Period.
Let's play this outro.
Okay. Which, by the way, I labeled this outro. This is definitely just still the.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like you said, a bridge that ends to nothing. So this is the ending of the bridge. I labeled it outro, but you were totally right. It's like the bridge ending, basically.
And in plain sight you hid, but you are what you did. And I'll forget you, but I'll never forgive the smallest man who ever lived.
She's dead on the floor.
Also, props to her for singing it like that on stage.
Oh my God. It's so low. Have you tried to sing that? I'm an alto and I struggle.
No, like, and I'm a soprano, so I always have to go up an octave to sing along to that part. Like, I'm like,
yeah. It's giving croak voice. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that she's like laying down and like twisted on the ground.
Yeah.
And she's doing it.
I
Props to
still
her.
think that drum line is so Les Mis coded. It's like we're marching and there's a flag in the background and then she dies. Like it's giving, do you hear the people sing? Like, or, you know, it's so good. Yeah. In plain sight you hid. Like you're
Sleeper
not
cell
pretending.
spy.
Yeah, like you're just out here.
Yeah.
But you are what you did.
Yeah. And this is a real flipperoonie
Sure is.
from Taylor of the past, because in the song Innocent on Speak Now, which is allegedly about Kanye, where she was trying to forgive him, which never again, she said, "Who you are is not what you did."
Yeah. Versus you are what you did. So here's that.
Who you are is not what you did.
She said, actually, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
You are what you did. Period.
You are what you did.
Yeah.
And I'll forget
that's on growth.
you, but I'll never forgive.
Which always reminds me of the classic Lauren from the Hills moment where she looks at Heidi and she says, I want to forgive you and I want to forget you.
I'm not even familiar with this.
Queen behavior. How have you not seen the Hills? Are you a millennial or what?
I am, but I think I was like too busy playing multiple sports to watch The Hills when it was on.
Oh, girl. Like, if you ever just want to binge and go back to the early 2000s, you have to watch The Hills. There's this iconic moment where Lauren Conrad looks at her ex-best friend who's begging for forgiveness, even though she doesn't deserve it. And she goes, I want to forgive you and I want to forget you. And Taylor said, copy paste, girl, copy paste.
Yeah.
I'll forget you, but I'll never forgive.
Right. Well,
Real seeing real. Okay.
Also, I feel like that is Taylor's MO. Like, it's like, I forgot that you existed, but also I will never forget the shit that you pulled on me.
I'm never forgiving you. Okay. Period. That's just, you know me. Okay.
Yeah.
To thine self be true. I'm never forgiving you. Okay.
So true. Smallest man who ever lived. And that's like the song.
Oh my God. And that's it.
That's the song.
Getting a little nerdy about it. We've talked about the structure and like the form of this song, but like she really did build it till that bridge happened. And I like that what you said earlier. You were saying that because it's so pulled back, it makes the bridge more exaggeratedly intense. So it's like building to this ultimate release in the bridge. The chorus of the song is so unchorusy for Taylor.
Yeah. That's the other problem is like the chorus there's no differentiation between the chorus and those verses. They are, it's all flat. It's all the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And part of me like relates the structure of that to being like everything is so stale and so quiet and so still. And then all of a sudden it just like erupts into anger. And like, if I haven't felt that way when I'm mad, like you're sort of like sitting in it and you're unpacking it. And then all of a sudden it's an eruption of absolute anger. That's so real. And I think Aaron Dessner's orchestration is so good. I think a lot, like you said, a lot of people I think would want it more like aggressive, like guitar or more percussion or just like a heavier hit in the bridge. And I get that. I do agree with that. But verse 1 is so raw and stripped back. Like it's just that piano line. It's the sigh. It's like, it's also that little piano line. Dun, 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 is used like throughout the entire song. It's used in like the chorus. And like, I love that it keeps repeating. I think that's such a nice touch.
Yeah. I was thinking about like that note that you made and what we just talked about with the verses and the choruses just being so flat and the same. And it does kind of represent this like sad, depressed thought spiral that she's in, where she's like, how could this have happened? Like, what did even happen? Like she's
Right.
stuck. Like it's just, she's flatlining.
It's cycling. Right.
Yeah. She's just there until it does erupt into anger. And then she's like, what the fuck? You know, like,
Yeah.
It is interesting.
So real.
Mhm.
Yeah. Verse 2, Aaron adds this little like like this like soft electric little like percussive harmony. And to me, that to me adds this like annoyance factor. And you're like, you know, like that poking feeling when like you're just like, it makes me mad, right? And there's still no percussion all the way up to verse 2, like nothing. But there's that, and it's like,
can you play us
which is like,
can you play us a clip from verse 1 and then a clip from verse 2 so we can hear that difference?
Sure. Here's verse 1.
Gazing at me starry-eyed in your Jehovah's.
Right. And then that continues into verse 2. But at the beginning, it's not there, right? So to me, it's like that building annoyance. It's that building like, God, that annoys me. Like, it just makes me so mad. And then finally the explosion of the emotion in the bridge. Chorus 2 is where we have these like sweeping strings. Let me play a sample of that.
And I don't even want you back. I just want to know if rusting my sparkling.
Yeah, this is where it starts to build like a tiny bit there with that.
Yeah.
But it is really beautiful.
Yeah. And then it goes to this bridge, which is like edge, like the fuzzing out of that microphone. I don't know what they used, but I really like that it fuzzed out. What I'm talking about is this.
Sent by someone.
Like that grit, you know?
Yeah.
It's so good. And it really does make the aggressiveness stand out. And that's where we get these final like bass drums and like the drum line like finally hits. Oh, and I noticed she added like these ha 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 in the backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah, those are
I love
good
that.
too. And then we also have something that she's done a lot on this album, like especially to illustrate anger. Like we talked about this in So Long London, where she has the layered vocals an octave up, which is something I really hadn't noticed in the song again until the live version, where I'm like, oh, those phrases that she sings an octave up are there in the recorded studio version an octave up, but it's just quiet. But it does add a little bit of emphasis on those lines. So I do like that.
Yeah. It's like in oh my gosh, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, when she's like, but what if they did? And you're like, yeah, what if they did? Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked a lot about how the Eras Tour, like the styling of this, the production, all of it is just makes this like 10 times better.
Because I love in the Death March portion, I mean, it's so theatrical because she's getting shot. There's flashes of red. Her dancers with the drums behind her are getting shot. But every time one of them gets shot, they go down and they're done. Taylor gets shot multiple times, but she keeps getting back up and she's holding on and she's fighting. And to me, this represents the line, I would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside. Because again, she would have stayed. She didn't care. She would have stayed. She would have fought through all of the bad press because she loved him and she thought they were going to be something.
Right.
And instead, she just ends up dead on the floor.
She marched to her death. Yeah. Loss of my life. Okay. What's your favorite lyric from this song?
Okay. My favorite lyric is this one.
And I don't even want you back. I just want to know if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal.
For me, this is the line.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want you back. I don't care about getting back with you. I just want to know, was your plan all along just to mess with me and ruin my summer and my tour and this magical time that I'm having. Were you just trying to mess it all up?
Right.
So yeah, I love that. And my rating for this one is 7.8 out of 10. Because I mean, I do love it. I think it's fantastic. But like I've said earlier, I have a couple little criticisms, just like things that I wish that it was. But I still think it's amazing, obviously.
Yeah. So my favorite lyric is not that.
Confess why you did it, and I'll say good riddance, 'cause it wasn't sexy once, it wasn't forbidden. No.
Oh, so good. Okay. The yelling of good riddance.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this bridge. I think this bridge is like such an expression of female rage.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, she knows TTPD as Female Rage the Musical. And it wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden is something I've thought to myself. And I think that when everyone's telling you that something is bad for you and there's this element of sexiness because it is like, people are gonna like not like it. This is bad behavior. Like that's kind of like fun to sneak around. It's not sexy once it wasn't forbidden. Like looking back in reflection and being like, what was I doing? That's not great. Is so real. And I think like this expression of female rage in reflection of a man who could not measure up is phenomenal. So I give this an 8.5. I think this song, I often ask myself, like, why do you think Taylor included that song in the Tortured Poets set, on the Eras tour? And I think this is one of those songs on the album where she thought this is kind of like the thesis of how this relationship ended, tie it in a knot. And then we're going to move on to I Can Do It With a Broken Heart and moving on, right? So I think its inclusion in the Eras tour signals that this is an important song for her. Both, and she's talked about how Tortured Poets is this album that she needed to write. I think this is one of those songs that she needed to write. And although I don't think it's a perfect song, I think that it's extremely honest and raw. And I love when Taylor's raw. Like, as much as I love, like, you know, a total like pop, girly pop, sad bop from Taylor, I love angry Taylor. So, like the best.
I also think this song really encapsulates a lot of these themes that she was like putting out there as the vibe of Tortured Poets, with like the paranoia, a gun underneath my bed, supercell spy. You know, they're supposed to take me away, but they forgot, you know, whatever the Fortnite lyric is.
Right.
Did you want me dead? You know, or someone who wanted me dead. Like it really goes with the asylum.
For sure. More than any other song besides Fortnite, I guess. But like,
yeah. I also want to mention the like life that this song has taken on since the Eras tour. You know, you see it on TikTok. Like we've had women doing the death march outside of the stadiums. You know, doing their own, like, I'm sure some of them have had flags. But just like, it has brought women together.
Yes.
This like universal hatred for the small men. You know, we've had plenty of people who've gone to the Eras tour with like dresses where people can write the names of the smallest men that they know. You know, so they end up with boys' names all over their dress and stuff. And then there's also just countless TikToks of women screaming these lyrics in the car together. Or just, you know, cuddled up on a couch playing this song, drinking wine. Like there is a universal aspect to this song. You know, going back to you said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. Like
I was at this tailgate at State College and there were Swifties next to us.
Yeah, tell me about this.
And this was the song where I was like, oh, everyone here is drunk and every girl is mad because they were screaming this. The bridge was being screamed and they were like, are you listening? Were you sent by someone? And they're screaming it at each other. And I'm like, a universal experience. Yes. Like, thank you, Taylor.
Yeah. And I don't know if it would have had quite the same effect in that way if we didn't have it on the Eras tour.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think,
see the way she performs it there, kind of like the way she really shows her anger and Who's Afraid of Little Old Me on the Eras tour. Like there's something about that performance that brings this song to life that despite Aaron's beautiful orchestration of this song on the record, it has a different life because of the Eras tour. And it's necessary.
Yes, I agree.
I love it.
Love it. Okay, this song is a recipe. I said this song is an overly burnt steak that's not even worth eating anymore. It's been turned into charcoal. Period.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So I said it's a cigarette and a glass of scotch on the rocks. Because I don't know, like I almost wanted to say it's just like a cigarette, you know, like rather than like the post-coital cigarette or something. This seems like Taylor, like after like burning a house down or something, you know, she's standing off, you know, down the street, just smoking a cigarette, watching it burn, like that kind of vibe. I did try to find some kind of cocktail like with scotch or a cocktail with mezcal or something like smoky. A cocktail that like tastes like cigarettes. And I wasn't finding anything. So I was like, you know what? It's just a cigarette and a glass of scotch on the rocks.
I mean, ultimately, this song is just a stomach ache. It's just like, bleh.
And actually, I take that back. It's not a glass of scotch on the rocks. It's scotch neat.
Yeah, there's no time for rocks here. Like,
no,
it is.
There's no ice.
Yeah.
No. It's just like room temp scotch in an old fashioned glass.
Yeah. Probably drank a little bit too quickly. Like not to be enjoyed, just swallowed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. In like a really dingy bar.
Yeah.
Really
like,
seedy.
Taylor Swift walks into a bar, says, do you have a light? Lights up. Scotch. Neat.
Yeah.
There's back.
Some bearded trucker sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Who lights your cigarette for you.
Yep.
That's the vibe.
Yep. A masterpiece. Yet again. Dude. So there you go.
We don't know what our next episode will be. We literally haven't discussed it.
No idea.
Guys, also you guys should know we get this podcast out by the skin of our teeth. I don't even know.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know how we do this. But somehow we get these episodes out.
Yeah. Part of me wants to do a style episode soon. Maybe we'll have Rebecca on. I don't know if we can get that done for the next episode, but if there's a song you really want us to cover, I mean, we've been doing a lot of Tortured Poets. If there's another one on the anthology you want us to cover, or I don't know, maybe there's going to be some Taylor news that will happen, but I guess it'll be a mystery episode next time you are tuning in.
Episode.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Should we sign off?
Yeah. Let's sign off.
All right. Here we go. All right. Thank you so much for joining. And if you want to support us in the pod, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
You can check out our website at blankplatepodcast.com. Please send us an email at blankplatepod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail or text us at 717-382-8313 to share all of your Taylor thoughts.
And until then, we've had the time of our lives with you.
And you know, it's time to go. So, bye.
Bye.